You may recognize me from previous meetups. I'm Dietrich Ayala. I work on the IPFS team, the lead for the ecosystems working group. You may know us from a lot of different things that you see around the project and you see in events like these. And I'm going to talk to you for just a couple of minutes about who we are, the things that we're doing, some of the big things that we shipped this year, and what we're going to do next. So these are some of the faces of the people that are behind events like this, blog posts that we write, other events that we put on around the community, a lot of the work that you see when you see us moving GitHub repos around or landing support for integration with other developer libraries or publishing research or doing things like the annual 2020 planning that Molly talked about before. That shot from a restaurant obviously is from earlier this year when that was a thing that we could do. And a lot of new people on the team this year that sadly we have yet to meet in person, but work closely with together all of the time. And you see the fruits of their work in front of you every day as the project runs. Some of the areas that we work on in the ecosystem working group, things like community development and engagement, contributor experience, documentation, all the events that you see, IPFS participation in events and some of the content that we do there when we do things like fix websites or plan new versions of websites. That's also some of the folks on ecosystem and related teams, and also figuring out what are the things that we're doing actually achieving the goals that we have? Are they having the impact that we want to see? Metrics and our tracking of success of some of these efforts are areas that we work on. It was a big year, even with all the other things going on. We did a lot of things. In the first half, we had a bigger team and took on a number of big initiatives that I'll talk about in a few minutes. And second half of the year, really focusing in on a few different project operational things, as well as helping out a number of other projects and helping out with other launches that were happening in our interplanetary stack. The first half of the year, we actually had a super group. We had 3 different smaller working groups rolled up into one mega ecosystem group where we did a bunch of things that you may recognize that Jacob talked about some of these before, like the JS IPFS monorepo work, making it easier for developers to contribute. Fewer PRs per change was one of the goals there that we achieved. We joined at ETH Denver and saw a bunch of you at the IPFS and Friends event the day before, organized by the Cryptorado community. And we've shipped major things like IPFS docs that quarter, as well as things like the Opera Android integration that Molly mentioned. Second half of the year, we had a smaller group that went in into other projects, really helping accelerate and amplify the work there, be able to launch things like docs in DRAND and Filecoin, doing developer research, understanding what are the challenges that DApp developers have in their journey in developing IPFS-based applications, working with different collabs who are already building on IPFS and helping them understand what Filecoin can offer, as well as new things like integration with more browsers. One of the big areas that we focused on was developer experience, making it easier for us to develop and maintain IPFS, making it easier for you to contribute to IPFS. We did that in a number of different ways: docs, research, content, and developer ergonomics changes. In content strategy and websites, we overhauled the newsletter. We got a lot of great feedback from the people who, I think we missed one and immediately heard from a bunch of folks how important that is for people being able to keep up with what's happening in the wide world of IPFS. Things like an audit of the entire ecosystem of content we have. How many websites do we actually have? That's a thing we know now, and we know which ones are used, which ones are really important, and which ones we need to be able to keep content fresh and up to date on for your needs. Overall, community health, be able to see with the ecosystem dashboard become a tool that we used regularly and still lean on pretty heavily today to understand how things are going in the overall IPFS community, making sure that we're responding to the issues that you file. As you can see here, we measure our response time to every issue that you file. We also did a number of things like bots to be able to know when new posts happen on Stack Overflow, Hacker News, and the forum to make sure that people are getting a response, and understanding the full forest level view of our ecosystem. For metrics, we're measuring a number of different things in both network, the community, developer engagement, and a bunch of other areas to make sure that the work that we're having is having an impact. And we also go all over, well, not physically go, we now virtually go all over the place still. We had a bunch of different events this year. Consensus Academy, we did a course there. We transitioned from the weekly Monday meetup to these monthly virtual meetups as one of the efforts of this group this year. So thanks for joining us here today. And the other events, external events, we were at Paris Blockchain Week this week. We participated at Distributed Camp, and Raid Layer 1, and a bunch of other different events this year. We also work on the collabs and grants program. So managing the relationships that we have with big IPFS users and making sure that we understand by interviewing them periodically, understand what their needs are, making sure that their PRs and changes and protocol changes are happening, and working with grants to be able to fund and accelerate some of the big changes that we want to see in the IPFS ecosystem. One of the big things that we announced last week was Brave Nightly having support for a full IPFS node. That's going to happen in January in the release channel. So expect more announcements and communication there. But that's the wide spectrum of what IPFS ecosystem does.